Well, I think Nintendo knows I'm on vacation because they are dropping all the news this week. But let me tell you guys, we have a lot to go over today, primarily just dealing with the brand new system firmware update that launched. 21.00 is now live on your Nintendo Switch 2. And I want to go through exactly what has changed because as opposed to the normal general system stability and to enhance the user's experience like we always see them mention, yeah, that is there this time, but there is a lot more under the hood that you can actually identify immediately with various different system settings and new icons and different ways you can find friends even to add them to your Nintendo Switch Online account. So yeah, we have a lot to break down on that front. Then we're going to briefly mention this game keycard situation that popped up today because not only do we have the release date for Pokopia, that Pokemon farming simulator game, but also bad news on this front because it is the first-party Nintendo published game that will be a game keycard. So tons to break down. Before we dive into all of this, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on your bell notification to join Sunbro Nation if you're new here. And I want to kick it off right over at Stealth's post on Twitter. Shoutouts to him because he did a really good job just summarizing everything that is different in this 21.00 update that you can now update your Switch 2 firmware to and take advantage of all of these new functionalities. No, themes are not here, unfortunately, and we still have an outstanding rumor about some kind of more achievement-based system that may be coming in the future, and this might tie into that a little bit with one of the renaming things, but it is not here yet. But you can see over from Stealth on Twitter, System Update 21.00 is now live, and it's a big one. Added symbols with software icons displayed on the home menu to indicate whether the software is a physical or digital version. When multiple software downloads are in progress, there is now an option to cancel all. If a console bundle includes a software download, there will now be an icon to receive software. It will display if the system is connected to the internet. Now, I want to first highlight up to this point in time, since the virtual cards have come out, we have not actually been able to tell the difference if you have a cartridge inserted or if you have it just digital as a purchase, and that this is now an indication that you will be able to tell the difference. That's nice because I actually thought about the fact that we don't really know if somebody has a cartridge inserted in their console by looking at the home icon, and you know that that's the cartridge you have in there without actually having to pull it out and check. And we used to have that functionality and then it was gone. So now Nintendo has once again displayed the difference between if you own it digitally or physically, and that's what the software that's in there in the cartridge that you can actually, basically see what you have inserted in there without having to take it out. So that's actually a nice change and update. This is the next big portion of it. When finding users to send a friend request to, the search for users you've played with option under Add Friends now includes people you've interacted with in your friends' game chat rooms. Added the ability to download data for virtual game card even if the use online setting is turned off. The following updates have been made for game chat. The game will not automatically go to sleep while chatting. The option to turn off chat audio panning has been added. Chat can continue if the console goes from TV mode docked to handheld or table mode, where the scenario changes the internet from a wired connection to a wireless connection. So basically, in this one, the biggest thing I think is the fact that you can easily find friends that you've actually played with in the past on if you've been with them in a game chat room. You're in one of your buddies' rooms, you have somebody else that's there that you haven't maybe added to your own friends list, and now you can search players that you've played with through game chat and actually add them straight into your friends list, which is definitely a quality of life improvement. And chat audio panning makes sense as well, so that way you can move around from TV dock to handheld. Even if it's a wired connection, it'll just switch to Wi-Fi and not kick you out of the game chat mode. Continuing on down, the following updates have been made in accessibility in the system settings. When used text-to-speech is turned on, the description of predictive text conversion characters on the Japanese keyboard is now read out loud. The upper limit of text-to-speech was increased from 300% to 400%. The following updates have been made in the audio system settings. The ability to change audio mode for wirelessly connected Nintendo Switch 2 Pro controller was added. Stable or low latency can be selected. Low latency will reduce audio latency when compared to stable, but may be subject to interference in some wireless environments. This is a big one for me. I use that feature quite a bit on my Pro controller. I actually like to play sometimes with my wired AirPods plugged in, and this will be something that, while I didn't really notice the latency already, there's a way to make that lower latency, but the warning with this one would be if you were in a room that has a ton of Bluetooth and wireless connections and stuff like that going on, it might actually be some interference. Basically, it's not going to be as stable of a Pro Controller connection as it would be otherwise, but it's ultra low latency. So if you did notice any latency with your Pro Controller when you're going through audio with that 3.5 millimeter headphone jack, that should be something that you could set this to and ideally not notice that latency anymore. The following updates have been made in display system settings, where HDR output was renamed to System Screens HDR output. Improved the screen display when using adjust screen size to make it easier to adjust. The following updates have been made to the notification system setting. The option Platinum Point notification was renamed to Nintendo Switch Online notification. The following updates have been made to system settings. Stop charging around 90% was renamed and updated to stop charging around 80 to 90%. Thai and Polish were added to the list of options under language, and of course the grand old age general system stability to enhance the user's experience. So this is one of the beefier updates that we have seen from Nintendo. A lot of it just being renaming stuff towards the end, but you look at things like the ability to tell if you're having a physical piece of software or a digital piece of software. That's nice. And you have these new game chat settings that you can find friends with. In addition to just, the 80 to 90% thing makes sense, because I did notice that whenever I have my console set to stop charging at 90%, that yes, indeed, it does actually sometimes stop around like 86 to 89 or something like that. It's never going to hit 90 exactly, or sometimes it does, and most of the time it doesn't. So things like that just make sense. It's nice to see update and hit the Nintendo Switch 2. And obviously, we're still early on to this console's life cycle. I'm not holding my breath for themes or anything massive like that anytime soon. I do think Nintendo may look at that in the future, because this console does actually have the overall horsepower to do something like a dynamic theme in the background. It's not like it's necessary, but it would be cool to add some personality to our Switch 2s. But nonetheless, at least we have something that is kind of refining the operating system at least a little bit into this generation so far, and we'll see if it continues from here. Now, I do want to quickly highlight and transition the conversation to game key cards, because Nintendo did indeed announce a new trailer on how to use them today, which they're pretty straightforward. If you insert a game key card, it doesn't have the actual data on the cartridge, and of course it has to download that data from the server, and they did an overview trailer basically promoting how this works. Okay, the big thing is up to this point in time, every first party published Nintendo Switch piece of software, or Switch 2 rather, piece of software, has indeed been on a traditional game cartridge where the data is on the cartridge. Now, we did get the official release date for Pokemon Pokopia, which, if you're unfamiliar, is like the Pokemon farming sim. It literally looks like Pokemon meets Animal Crossing slash, a little bit of Minecraft thrown in there. And it's basically, a cozy game for Pokemon. You play as Ditto, but you're actually a human. It's kind of weird. Whatever. That's coming out on March 5th, okay? But the big piece of information, and something that's brand new that Nintendo has not done up to this point in time, is that the game in question on this trailer they put out is Pokopia, and it is indeed a game keycard. Now, this actually now opens the door for Nintendo releasing their first-party published software sometimes as game keycards. This, to me, is a pretty big deal, and it's actually, sadly, the confirmation that Nintendo's open to doing this, and it's the death of physical games if they go this route. I'm just going to say that there's going to be a small percentage of people that will still go out there and buy game key cards from Nintendo, first party published, if they're, if the cartridge data is not on there. But in general, you are going to cut off a huge percentage of the physical market if you go this route. And Nintendo being open to do this with, granted, a Pokemon spin-off game, it's not their biggest piece of software or anything like that. But this is very much them opening the door to the fact that they don't have to always choose the traditional cartridge option that is, of course, more expensive, and they are okay with publishing titles that are using the game key card option. So really actually a big deal, because it is quite literally the death of physical games if Nintendo goes this route. Now, I know some people are fine with the game key card. They pick it up, they add it into their collection, no problem. And I do understand that as a physical collector lifelong, it is way less appealing than ever to pick up physical, because you get way less in the cartridge. It's not like you're getting the instruction manuals and all that stuff that we used to back in the day. And almost always, without fail, there is a day one patch you have to do with your brand new piece of software, kind of making it a moot point to pick up that game and have it in a completed state, because if you do have the servers go offline 10, 15, 20 years in the future, well, you still are going to miss that day one update if you don't already have it downloaded and loaded onto your console. So it is one of those things that, like, obviously gaming in the physical medium is getting less and less convenient. But Nintendo being okay with doing game key cards on their first-party published titles, well, we're going to see where we land at the end of this generation. But if we're starting to see major games go this route as well, yes, indeed, we will see less and less of a physical market, and kind of just a bad news scenario all the way around, no matter how you slice it. If you don't care about physical game key cards and the data being on the cartridge, you might not care about this as much, but I found it very interesting that, yeah, March 5th, we have Pokopia, but it's a game key card and it's first-party Nintendo published. So that door is now open. Let me know what you make of all of this in the comments down below. Are you excited about any of the changes that we saw for the Nintendo Switch 2 system firmware update? And what do you think about the first-party Nintendo published game keycard game coming out in Pokopia on March 5th? And do you have any interest in this game, or is this one for you just probably one that you're going to skip up? So make sure you share all your thoughts and feelings in the comments down below before you leave, regardless if we agree or disagree. Also, make sure you like, subscribe, turn your notification bell. And with that, I've been Sunbro, you've been Nation. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.